morning, Rotary Club of Centennial. Could you please take a second and silence your cell phones? Mr. Jackson, would you inspire us this morning?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I like to do the invocation this morning. And as we do it, I'd just like to ask all hearts and minds on our Lord and Savior. All hearts and minds on our Lord, our God. Dear Lord, we come humbly but boldly before your throne of grace today, asking for forgiveness of sins, Lord God, and asking that you bless us, Lord God. We give thanks today, Lord God, for you bringing us together to have this meeting, Lord God. And so we ask that you guide our meeting, that you guide our leaders of this meeting, and you guide the work that we do for you, Lord God. We ask that you just continue to bless us, Lord, as we continue throughout the year, giving of ourselves, Lord God, in order to please you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Alan. Mr. Fritzler, could you lead it? There you are. Could you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Fleck, you've jumped up a pay grade. You get to help with the Rotary Minute this morning.
Yes. I had not heard about polio since I was a kid until my first meeting here in August as a guest. Can you hear?
Tilt it this way a little bit.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay, as a guest here in August, that was the first time I'd heard about polio since I was a kid. So I did a little research on my own to educate myself about polio. The Salk versus the Sabin vaccine, the inoculation, the shot versus the oral vaccine. And then in my orientation, I learned about the 3 countries where polio still exists. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nigeria. You guys all knew that. I didn't know that. But I had no idea how much money goes into the effort to eliminate polio from the planet. I understand now that it must be eradicated everywhere. It must become extinct. And until it does, we have to continue vaccinating. Case in point, there was an outbreak over the summer in Syria and the Republic of Congo, which apparently happens when there is a low vaccination rate. So even with only 8 cases of polio reported worldwide this past year, it takes millions of dollars from Rotary and their partners to keep this going. $450 million a year committed for the next 3 years seems like a staggering amount of money when you put it in the context of 8 cases of polio. But to not do it means losing ground. So I think it will be interesting to see if we get there in the next 3 years. World Polio Day is coming up 2 weeks from today, October 24th.
Thank you very much. Woo. You know, those members of the club who are my age or older, I think we all had friends in grade school who had braces on, who had polio, and that's just something we haven't seen for years. So it's very easy for it to be out of mind, and I find it really interesting. You know, there's all the anti-vaxxer versus vaxxers things going on. Well, a lot of these younger people, they've never seen it. They don't understand how devastating it is. So I appreciate very much everything that Rotary does towards the elimination of polio. It's time for a business minute. Mr. Pye, you're on. And if you come up here, you can either have the podium or right here so we can have you on camera.
All right, this business minute is not about my firm. You all just heard that. You heard that recently. I thought I'd take just a quick minute or two Byron's timing me, to talk about something everybody has heard about, and that is the Amazon deal. If you haven't heard about it, you're not reading the newspapers or listening to the television. The Amazon deal is a big deal, and I happen to be on one of the teams that are going after the Amazon deal, so I have a little insight. I wanted to give you all a little insight into the background. So why is Denver so excited about this, and why are we going after this? And it's not just one of us in the metro region, it's a lot of us. There are 30 teams out there just in the metro region. And all 50 states have teams putting together responses to the RFP. The reason we're excited about it is that what Amazon is talking about, they already have their headquarters, as everybody knows, up in Seattle. Pretty good sized headquarters, almost 8 million square feet, and over 50,000 employees. I think they're up to almost 60,000 employees at this point. They've put about $48 billion back into Seattle over the period of time that they've been there. So what they're asking from us is the following. This is going to happen in 3 phases. First phase, they're asking for a minimum of 500,000 square feet and 100 acres to build on, with over three phases being up to 8 million square feet. They'll put in, well, let's put it this way, the employees that they're going to hire, so it's 50,000 employees that they're looking to hire in the first 3 phases, which will be over a 15-year period of time. The average wage will be right at $100,000. And so we're going to have a few under that and a few over that. This is not the distribution centers that are like in Aurora right now in Commerce City. These are high-skilled and high-wage jobs. This is their second headquarters. They believe that it's just gotten to a point they need a second headquarters outside of Seattle. So it's a big deal. The first 3 phases, as I mentioned, are what we're currently going after. The 4th phase, which is the interesting one, will happen after a 15-year period of time, most likely, and it's going to be organic. But it could be up to an 8 million square feet addition to what they currently are looking at, and an additional 50,000 jobs. So this is a big deal, dollar-wise, to the region. I was hired on our team to do competitive intelligence against the other teams. And we know right now that there are 8 different teams that are going to be submitted from the Denver metro region and from the state of Colorado. We're doing something a little differently this time, and that is the fact that everybody submitted to the Metro Denver EDC 2 weeks ago Friday, and Metro Denver EDC sorted through that, and as of last Friday, they submitted it to the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, which is the state organization. The state organization is going through that, and here's the kicker. The governor is part of that, and that threw a set of ripples through the economic development groups in our region, because the governor's never played in this. Remember who the governor was? He was the mayor of what city? Denver. Yes. And so we know that Denver has submitted 3 different projects. We know Aurora has submitted 2 different projects. Broomfield has submitted 1, and Douglas County has 2. And right now we think it is narrowed down to that group. So we feel pretty comfortable where we are. But ultimately, all 8 are going to go to Amazon, which is a little bit different than what they asked for. But we're going to have it under one umbrella, and that's the state umbrella. So I'll keep you informed as we hear more. We're all under NDAs, just so you know. I can't reveal a whole lot more than that. Mark?
Randy, why do the newspapers report that the winner is the big loser?
Well, if you talk to people in Seattle, they'll tell you they really dislike Amazon. But there's a difference there, and that is that Amazon is downtown. They got 38 buildings downtown, 24 restaurants that they have started downtown. So basically, they have sucked the life. It's Amazon. And it's interesting because there is a state that they have talked to this city about de-annexing some of their city and calling it Amazon City, and that's part of their proposal. We're not going that far. We're not even submitting incentives to most extents. We don't do that. We submit quality of life. Of course, that's why we lost Boeing and United. But response back from Boeing on that was, everybody has quality of life. I mean, come on, guys. So anyway, anything else? I'll keep you informed as we know more.
Cool. Thanks for the update. I'd like to thank David Livingston for setting up today. And Tripp, it looks like you're on takedown, so you're getting kind of double duty today. Our greeter, Kevin Heckel, I felt very well greeted. Thank you very much. Alan, great inspiration. I appreciate that. And then Paul, you did an outstanding job leading us in the pledge. We may give you that duty permanently just because it was so well done. Visiting Rotarians, we have two today. Greg Cottrell and Jessica Reagan are visiting Rotarians. Thank you so much. Don't give me that look, young lady. Good. Guests, Wes is back, Don Shattuck's son. Wes, stand up and say hi.
Good to see you all again.
Okay, thank you. And then Patrick's back. Patrick, meet Tripp. Tripp, meet Patrick. Get together after the meeting. Tripp is a natural-born salesperson, and you will experience that firsthand in just a few minutes. Birthdays today. Dr. Mark, who isn't here today, October 13th, and Jay Zing on, is Jay here? So are you October 11th? Is it your wife? All right, so I had conflicting information, so wife. And you remember that her birthday is coming up, correct? Okay, good. Little club business. Mr. Buck. Oh, you didn't take a bite. I was going to call you as you were eating.
Many of you will remember that our past district manager for Rotary, Mike Oldham, did a very large project in Haiti. We were the largest contribution from this club, and it's been a good success. It was about $120,000 worth of solar equipment to be able to Respire Haiti school that is there. Anyway, they are going to have a trip down there to do service work, leaving here about the 28th or 29th of January. And what they'll do is they'll have a day of travel and 4 days of service work of various kinds, and a 5th day of touring, and then a day to return. Comes out something like 5th of February. The facilities down there have bedding for 16 people, 8 men and 8 women. They would like to fill that up, and they would really like somebody from or a couple from our club to go. It will cost about $1,200, and I don't know a whole lot more about it, but he would like to see somebody that's interested come down on the trip. So let me know if you have any interest, and I can get you in touch with Mike, and they'll be starting to have meetings early part of the next couple months. So that's that.
All right, thank you. So if anybody wants to do a service project hands-on in Haiti, we have one for you. It's coming up real soon. Let's talk a little bit about the Red Wagon Ball. The Red Wagon Ball is CASA's, Advocate for Children's CASA's biggest fundraiser of the event. We sponsored 2 tables this year. We had outstanding turnout. We had from the main club, Tripp and Sherry Butler were there, Timothy Eunice, Jacqueline and Justin Collins, John Wexler was there, Samantha Johnson, Samantha Rowe, Kevin Heckel, and then Karen and I, plus there were 12 of our millennial members were there, along with spouses or significant others. It was a great event. I was blown away by the amount of money they raised. At one point, they were asking for donations from the crowd, and there was one single donation for $200,000 coming up. Very, I did see Tripp raise his hand during the donation process, but it wasn't at the $200,000 level.
He was asking for it for himself.
Carrying on with the Red Wagon Ball, there was a special drawing during the event, and the drawing was for the wagon of whiskey. So when they read the winning number, there was a squeal at our table that was worthy of the front row of a Justin Bieber concert. And I'd like to announce that Samantha Rowe is now the chair of the Libations Committee for the Rotary Club of Centennial. So how much liquor was in this wagon? I mean, it was a big wagon.
2 cases of wine, a case of beer, and then a huge bottle of Grey Goose, Jameson, tequila.
You are everyone's new best friend. All right. We've got kind of a light agenda today. Does anybody else have any announcements for the club? Cheryl.
On October 24th, we have the Polio Day, as Karen brought to our attention in her Rotary Minute. And we have Dr. James Ginsbauer coming, and he will be speaking on his research on the polio vaccine that he and other colleagues around the world have been working on. But that day, we're going to be collecting your pigs, so I hope you're home stuffing them. We already have one very stuffed, heavy pig in the back, and we'd like you to bring in your change, loose change inside your pig, or you could bring in a check and donate that for our polio activities.
Good. And large denomination bills are accepted also.
Does
Mary
everybody
Alice?
have a pig?
Yeah. Does anyone need a pig? You need a pig? We can get you a pig. You have a pig. You want 2 pigs. I'm sure we can get you
We have
another
2
pig.
over here missing pigs.
Okay. And did I see someone sneak in the back to grab? The purveyor of pigs is coming back. All right. Any other? Good job, Randy. Any other announcements? Mary Alice.
Thank you. I just want to extend an invitation to all of you to join Primetimers on the 19th of December. We have a bus that is going downtown to view all the lights. The whole cost is $2.60 if you're over 65. If you are not, the cost is $5 and something. I can't remember. Obviously, I'm over. So we're trying to fill the whole bus, and we thought maybe some of you might like to go along with us. So if you would, just let me know.
She has no idea I'm going to call on her. Ms. Berry, could you tell us about the Primetimers event this weekend? Yeah, I'm going to pay for this.
Yeah, I think, is it on?
It's working.
Okay. So we went to the Pace Center, which, if you haven't been there, it's fabulous cultural and arts center. They have a lot of programs, and we saw South Pacific. And I think, what were there, 20 of us there, including Primetimers and some members from the club. It was a fabulous production of South Pacific. And the guy that played Emile the Frenchman, we all wanted to take him home. He was fabulous.
My wife got there first.
Byron, we're both feeling like second tier right here. Since
I mean, he even sang, with a French accent, and it was just, his voice was really good. So we were all like, oh, yeah. But it was a really fun event. Some of us carpooled with some of the Primetimers, and I got an earful from one of them who's considering joining the club, and I think she would maybe be a good addition. She likes to speak her mind and write letters to different people. And in fact, she was telling me a story about a letter she had written to, and I don't think it was Dave Walcher, the sheriff, because the sheriff actually came to her and apologized for something that happened and was very courteous and kind. And yeah, so, but it was a fun event.
Right, good. Don, did you have an announcement? I thought I saw your hand pop up. No? Alan, and then Bern, I'll get you next.
Just a reminder about the boxes, if you all can collect a couple of boxes for us for the Christmas tree giveaway. and
Right.
for the ornaments and stuff.
When do you need them and where?
Now and then. I'm not sure. I'm not real sure. I just when do we need the boxes?
Probably first week of December.
First week of December.
Okay.
Please keep it home.
Right. Yeah.
And I think Mary Alice. Keep them at home.
Hold on to them until we need them.
All right. Yeah, don't burn them. Vern,
You doing travel gifts?
I'm going to.
Oh, then I'll wait.
Samantha, Samurai.
All right. So I have 3 because I've been delinquent. First, there is a food drive this Saturday at the King Soopers off of Parker Road and Arapahoe. So we have enough to cover, but I would like 1 or 2 additional volunteers if possible. So just email me. I will go ahead and send out another email through Karen because she's awesome. Oh, and the weather's supposed to be improved. Thank you. Good. So still keep warm, though. So number 2, I just sent out for those of you who are on the opioid committee, notes from our last committee meeting. Please read that. We do need a co-chair because I'm bouncing John off.
Thank you.
As co-chair.
Bless you.
And so if please anyone's interested, please read that and let me know. And then those that are on the vocational services committee, we are having a meeting this Thursday at 6:30, but I am sending out an online meeting request, so we'll all be joining via the web. So don't go to Starbucks. Yeah. So we're going to try it.
Great. Thank you. Cheryl, do you remember off the top of your head what day we've got the club assembly scheduled? Is it next week? Okay. So we're going to be meeting, keep this in mind, we're going to be meeting and doing committee meetings during the course of the meeting next week. So I don't know how that affects you, but something to keep in mind. Any other announcements? Jay, you look guilty. No. All right. Travel gifts. Burn.
I got 1 or 2. So I spent a very, just working, a very fun 4 days last week back in my hometown in Iowa, which is a very small hometown. Yeah, woo-hoo, Hawkeyes, yes. And before I do the travel gift, first of all, I did go to my local hometown Rotary Club and exchanged banners. So they have one of our banners now, and I have one of theirs. So I'll give this to John to photograph, and then I asked him earlier, I might want that back because that club actually was, my grandfather was a founding member of that club back in 1953. And his cousin was also a founding member of that club, Henry Bernier, and his cousin went on to be president of Rotary International in 1958, I think. So I've got some sentimental value in that. They meet in the basement of the Plaza, which is the nursing home in Manning, Iowa. And they also have a buffet, but let me tell you, this food beats the nursing home buffet miles and miles and miles. But while we were there, I went into the local pharmacy, which is kind of the place to buy gifts in town. And another quick story. So the local pharmacist has been there forever. There's a mother and a 5-year-old daughter at the counter paying for something, and the 5-year-old daughter wants a piece of candy. Mother says, yes, you can buy that, but you can't eat it till after lunch. The pharmacist walks up, gives the little girl a little Tootsie Roll, and says, here you go, you can eat that right now. And of course, mother was, and then he explained after they left, he said, well, that's the way you get the kids to come back to the store so the mothers buy more stuff. And so that's a combination pharmacist, marketer, all rolled into one. So anyway, on the line of candy, the travel gift, as when you get to the party, if you have stocking stuffers or something you need to buy, we have an Iowa orange dark chocolate bar, and we also have Iowa bacon pretzels, which would be a great stocking stuffer. And if you have that person at holiday that's being mean and nasty, and you want to give them a mean and nasty gift, I have Iowa pig poop. You can't get that everywhere. So anyway, that was my trip. I don't know who's collecting this stuff. Ann is? Okay. It's a small bag.
So keep in mind that we often package the travel gifts together during the auction. So if you buy the Iowa package, only eat 2 out of the 3. I'm just saying.
And you have all 3 in the same bag.
All 3 in the same bag.
Nice.
Correct.
It's agriculturally friendly. I don't know.
Are there any other travel gifts? Phil Chapuris had assigned me to Happy Bucks, but you guys don't want to listen to me speak. So he said he was going to get somebody else, but he didn't tell me. Did he pull you up, Mark? Okay. Have at it.
All righty. Last week we had Randy Pye do a heck of a good job with Happy Bucks.
$237.
How much?
$237.
$237. Okay, so I got a big challenge here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to give $5,000 to anybody who contributes to Happy Bucks when I win a Powerball this coming Thursday night. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. So here we go. At this table here, do we have anybody who wants $5,000 this Thursday? Non-taxable. I'm only kidding, Barb. Anybody here? No, we're gonna. We got Mr. Wexler with benefits.
$2. One is for our guests. Thanks for coming. And 2, I'm just glad to be here.
Okay, we have Patrick.
I got $2 for all our friends that went to Michigan State. I had 2 sons that went to Michigan State, so naturally, and 1 for the guests.
You wouldn't know it by his accent, but Patrick is from my old town in New Jersey. I don't know where that accent came from.
2 Happy Bucks. 1 because I'm happy to be here, and 2 because I don't know. I'll have to give another buck.
If somebody could keep track as to who's giving me money here, so I can award them the $5,000 to come Thursday.
It's all here. I have a happy buck, mostly because Alan's here, but I'll tell you, we really had a good time at that castle ball, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want next year somebody to say, we should do that this year. I want to make sure I have a seat at that table.
All right. Anybody else? Moving on to this table, we have
Only I'm Catherine's mother. I'm used to that. One is for the wonderful event we did go to the theater, and that was a great play. My friend Donna and I commented, if the young lady who played the lead was the runner-up to Miss Colorado must have been really wow, because that young lady playing the lead was fantastic. So, great job, Mary Alice. Well, I'm glad we all went.
anybody else? Don.
I've got $2, 1 for my son being here as a guest, and 2, he passed his real estate exam.
Hey.
Ooh, all right. David.
So, 2 Happy Bucks. 1 for one of our grandsons, TJ, the other for his sister, Maddie. Their parents were out of town for 4 days, and I'm happy they've gone back where they belong.
Hang on just a second, John. We have Cheryl here, who is kind enough to buy a lot of tickets, right? Tell us about it, quickly.
Well, thank you, everyone who wished me a happy birthday yesterday. And I really appreciate all the emails that came along with that. And I started 2 years ago, for every time I have a birthday, to increase my giving to the foundation by $1 every year. And so everyone got a ticket. If you did not get a ticket, would you raise your hand really high so that Jay can get you a free ticket for the drawing today? The other reason I'm happy today is Wes passed his test, and he is now in my office working with my company at Keller Williams Real Estate.
All righty. John Peterson.
I have a happy $1 for the Colorado Rockies, sorta. It was a great season, and I'm happy that they finished in the wild card. I'm not happy that we lost the game last Wednesday, but I am happy that the Arizona Diamondbacks got knocked out last night.
Well, I'll give a buck. Since we're celebrating so many birthdays and other events, my wife and I celebrated our birthdays this past weekend, both of us. She's a little younger than I am, though, and our anniversary a couple months ago, which I missed the meeting for as well. But people ask about our long anniversary, 43 years, and I tell them that a long time ago we decided that we'd go out to dinner once a week, maybe a little candlelight, a nice dinner, some music, dancing, and it's worked out very, very well for our relationship. She goes on Tuesdays and I go on Fridays.
Okay, Karen.
I have two. One, because I'm glad to see the snow back. I love the snow. The second one, because I lived through an almost accident this morning, I guess because of the snow. I don't know.
Okay. The infamous Byron. Not famous, infamous.
I have two. One for Cheryl for giving us the tickets, and one to see Catherine before the program. Yay.
Okay, I have two. One for Cheryl, thank you for the ticket. And another one for Costco. They actually donated trees. So, and that was a lot of work. Let me tell you something. Costco has donated so much because of the hurricanes down south that it felt almost impossible to squeeze anything out of them, but I was able to get a couple trees. So thank you, Costco.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have five happy bucks because, first of all, I'm super happy it's fall in October because that's my favorite season. Second of all, I've got some fun travels coming up. I'm going to D.C. to visit my girlfriend, and I'm also going to Charleston to visit Nicole. So I'll have to say hi to her for all of you, I'm sure, because you're always like, tell Nicole hi. And then that's two. So three, just those are guilt bucks because I'm always late and I'm going to be missing because of traveling.
Yeah, I have one. Just happy to be here.
Karen? Two. Okay, great.
Three. One is for Cheryl. Happy belated birthday, and thank you for the donation to the foundation and for giving us an extra ticket. One's for Mary Alice for organizing such a great Primetimers event. It was a lot of fun. It was really fun. And the third, and I'm sorry, Paul, for if he's still here, that I have to say I'm excited that my driver, Martin Truex Jr., won again on Sunday. Paul's tired of hearing him win, but it's the second round of the playoffs, and by winning, he moves to the third round of the playoffs. So he's doing a great job, so I'm excited about that.
I have two. One is Wes and Patrick. Welcome. Glad to have you. Patrick, I expect to see you up getting your badge soon. And the second is thank you for the lottery ticket and happy birthday.
Okay, anybody else? Jeannie.
So my grandmother used to do that to me all the time, and I'd get scolded just like as if I was little Jeannie getting in trouble. So I will take that compliment. Anyway, I've got five. Do you want it? Number one, I know you all are sad about the Rockies, but I'm ecstatic about the Cubbies, who are going to give me a heart attack again. Up 2-1, so go Cubs. Cheryl, thank you very much for mine, and happy birthday. And it's good to know that I can still walk in here, and as much as I've missed, I've yet to achieve visiting Rotarian status. So
it's close.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, it's going to get worse. I'm excited. On Thursday, I leave for 10 days in Italy, so yes, I will find some sort of travel gift, promise. But I'm just really happy to be here in Rotary. And finally, I know for those of you who may not like the snow, but skiers like me, knowing that there's feet up in the mountains, my skis are getting itchy, and I'm kind of excited to come home for an early season.
I have 10.
Woo!
It's been a good week. Cheryl, thank you. Happy birthday, and thank you for the ticket. And thank you for being a sponsor of the Casa Ball, because that was really a great night. And I was very excited about winning the wagon.
Do the squeal.
The wagon.
Do the winning squeal.
No, the funny thing is I never win. And so I didn't even think there was a chance. And so I pulled out the ticket. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, oh, my God, that's my number. So, I really appreciated it, and my bar really appreciated it. And I'd like to thank John McCarty. He was kind enough last week to let me bring my staff over to do a membership retreat to do planning for next year. And that was really helpful and very close to my office. So I really appreciate your kindness, and your staff was excellent in helping us and everything. So thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Karen. Karen was profiled in the video at CASA. And, you know, CASA is such a great organization, and it's just nice to know that there are people that are... The best part of one of the videos is when one of the kids was saying, there are these adults who actually like kids and want to spend time with them, and they don't get paid. But, you know, those are the types of things that really make a difference in these kids' lives. So thank you for all you do. So that's it.
Yeah, I've got a couple happy bucks this morning to echo a couple folks who have already mentioned some things today. First snow of the year. It's great to see the white stuff on the ground. And then my alma mater won over the weekend. So the Spartans beat the Wolverines in the big house, 14-10. It was awesome. So, yeah, no notifications to anything on my phone. I immediately went home and watched the game on the DVR. So it was awesome.
I'm sorry about this, but who were the Spartans?
Green and white. There's no green and white. Michigan State.
I have two.
Michigan State rivalry. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's kind of like CU, CSU, only bigger. Bigger, yeah. Okay, got it.
Two other things. Mary Alice and Charlie, do you know they're from 105?
Huh?
The entrance and exit off the Garden State Parkway. They lived in New Jersey, as well as Patrick and myself. Just a little tidbit of information. Whatever that's worth. I'm not working. And the other thing is, can I have a show of hands who wants to get the call for the $5,000 this Thursday night? I'll be in touch. Oh, here's Barb Medina.
I'm giving 10 because I'm not going to be here the next 2 weeks. I leave Saturday morning for Nepal. So I've waited for this trip for a year, so I'm really excited.
Nope, I don't need it.
Wait, can I have a one story? Shameless, adding another $1, but I just want to really thank those who reached out and said that they want to do the state of our city, including a few of them who volunteered to want to do chairing it next year. So I don't even have to work at finding a chair. But as you talk about CASA and all the things that we do, having this committee and doing State of the City is a big part of that. So I'm super, super appreciative, especially since I'm not going to be here next week. We'll get that going, but just wanted to say thank you to the team.
I've got 5. First, Cheryl, happy birthday. I didn't realize it was your birthday, and I appreciate the big winner that you got. I want to thank everybody who participated in the CASA Red Wagon Ball. That was a great event. They raised a ton of money. I had a lot of people come up to us and thank us for our support. And I got to tell you, a lot of times we feel disconnected with the millennials. But to watch them rally around each other, because we've got a couple of our millennials who work for Advocates for Children, and all the other members of the club dived in and rallied around their project. It was a lot of fun to watch them. They were very, very enthusiastic. Rockies, what can we say about the Rockies? Now, last Monday, Karen and I were sitting around, and she said, I found tickets for $51. Let's go down to Phoenix to watch the game. It's like, honey, we got a meeting and we got a board meeting. She goes, well, we better not go anyway because every time we watch them play on the road, they lose, which is true. We've seen them play all over the country and we've never seen them win on the road. But you can't blame this one on us because we weren't there. And then last of all, really, once again, thanks to all of you guys. I love the enthusiasm in this group. I love the effort that everybody puts in. I feel so lucky every time I get up here every Tuesday morning, well, most Tuesday mornings, because you guys are just an outstanding bunch. So, Cheryl, would you like to introduce, or Jeannie, whoever's doing this one? Our speakers, we're doing classification talks today, so you're going to get to learn more about your fellow Rotarians.
And we're going to start off with Colonel Kevin Heckel. And then he's going to be followed by our fantastic Roxy.
There we go. Okay. So, Kevin, you might want to stand at the podium, and then you can be in camera view. Kind of, actually.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Good. There's some enthusiasm. It's good to hear. All right. Well, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about myself. This was a lot of fun putting this presentation together and learning a few things about myself I didn't know before. I've been around for a few years, so I don't remember everything that's happened to me. But anyway, yeah, I'm Kevin Heckel, and so it's been a lot of fun joining Rotary and getting to know you all. And so I thought I'd pass on a little bit about myself. There we go. Uh-oh.
Can't do much about that. Sorry.
All right. Well, the key to air power is flexibility. So here we go. So here you go. This is how we learned it in the military. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Then I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you what I told you. Does that work for y'all? Okay. Here it is. So this is what I'm going to talk to you about. So a little bit where I'm from, my educational background, a little bit, kind of where I've lived. So being in the military, lots of places that I've been. A little bit about my career, my family, of course, and then a few other little random things about myself. So can y'all see that? Okay. So I'm a native Michigander, Michiganian. I'm from that state. I don't really know the difference between the two. It's kind of interchangeable. I don't know, Samantha. Gander, yeah. I think Gander's the right way. But anyway, my hometown is Muskegon, Michigan, so can't really see the map very well. So Muskegon's right there on the edge of Lake Michigan on the west side of the state. So I grew up in the Mitten. Y'all know what the Mitten is? My hands are full. I would show you what the Mitten is. So there we go. Okay, so here's the Mitten, okay? I didn't grow up in the Thumb, which is right there, and I'm not a Youper. So Youpers, are from up here. So, yeah, so the Youpers are the folks in the Upper Peninsula. That's why they're called Youpers. So let's see. We may have to move it back a little bit. I'm not a fudgy either. So just so you know, a fudgy. So fudgies are the people who almost threw your gavel there. Okay. Fudgies are folks who are tourists, basically, who go north in Michigan. So they produce a lot of fudge up there. Anybody heard of Kilwin's Fudge? Few of you have, because there's a few stores out here. So Kilwin's is headquartered in Petoskey, Michigan. They make true, authentic Michigan fudge, if you didn't know that. So tourists are called fudgies because they go north and they purchase pounds and pounds of fudge. And so I'm not a fudgy. I'm from Michigan. I may be a fudgy once in a while if I travel north, and it's typically, you can't see it, but usually in that region is where they produce a lot of fudge. But I do eat pasties, not pasties, pasties. Familiar with Cornish pasties? So the Cornish miners from Cornwall, England, went to the Upper Peninsula to mine the copper mines. And so a lot of the food that they traditionally ate were called pasties. So it's kind of a meat pie, really good stuff. So if you're a meat and potatoes kind of person, you probably love them. All right, so that's me and where I grew up. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say I spent summers living on Silver Lake, so I'm kind of a lake person. I love the water. It's a little bit difficult being out. I shouldn't say it's difficult. I love being in Colorado, but I do miss the water. So that's the one thing that I grew up with and miss quite a bit. Oh, there we go. All right, education. So again, like I said, I grew up in Muskegon, Michigan, in the city of Norton Shores, where I went to Mona Shores High School. So if you can figure that out, let me know. But anyway, Mona Shores High School. I have a Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science from Michigan State University. Forensic Science is the crime scene investigation type stuff that you might be familiar with seeing on TV. Analyzing fingerprints, ballistics, blood, drugs, those kinds of things. That's what I learned to do. Got my MBA from Old Dominion University. So the United States government was nice enough to pay for a little more than 75% of my postgraduate education, which was fantastic. So through my travels and places I've lived, I got my degree from Old Dominion University, which is in Norfolk, Virginia. And then the Air Force decided that it was important to know a little bit about the military and a little bit about conducting war. So they actually gave me another master's degree in the operational art and science, which is basically the art and science of operational tactics in war. So that's from the Air University at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. Where have I lived? Okay. So everything on the left side right there is everywhere that I've been here in the United States. So like I said, I grew up in Muskegon, been in Oklahoma, Virginia, South Carolina twice actually, lived in Texas, like I mentioned in Alabama. Been in D.C., lived in Virginia, really. The Pentagon is actually in Virginia, has a D.C. mailing address though. And then, of course, I'm here in Aurora. Been in Germany, Great Britain, did a year in Qatar, and then you can see in the bottom. So that's kind of the timeline of all the places where I've been.
What's the abbreviation for Qatar?
QR. Yeah. So actually, it was Michigan to Oklahoma to Germany to Virginia, South Carolina, Texas, Alabama, Great Britain, South Carolina to Qatar, D.C., Colorado. This is an interesting photo here. So this is looking out my apartment building in Arlington, Virginia. So the Washington Monument is right there. You can see it. This green patch right here, this is Fort Myer. That's the parade ground at Fort Myer. The Wright brothers flew their first flight in front of Army brass right there on that parade ground. Orville flew the Wright flyer around it, and he ended up crashing. Thomas Selfridge, who was a lieutenant at the time, actually died from the injuries of that crash. And Selfridge Air Force Base is in Michigan. Patrick, I'm sure you're familiar with. It's an Air National Guard base now, but anyway, it's pretty interesting history right there. I'm gonna grab some water here quick. So really neat to live in an area like that and see something like that right out my apartment building window. Pretty cool. All right, so my career. So like I said, graduated from Michigan State, 1994, Air Force ROTC. Got my commission right after I received my degree as a second lieutenant. So 23 years in the Air Force. I'm in the force support career field. I started in military personnel, which is kind of the military's version of HR. Did some merges with other career fields, education and training, manpower and services as well, and that's what makes up the force support career field. But I've done that for 23 years. I am regular Air Force, despite where I work. I'm in the Air Reserve Personnel Center, so they keep a number of active duty folks at the Reserve Personnel Center just to make sure things don't go crazy. But I've had 11 assignments. 3 of them have been overseas, like I mentioned. I've had 4 deployments. First one was to Croatia during the Balkan conflict. Been to Iraq, Afghanistan, of course. Qatar. I put Qatar down as a deployment. For most people, it was a deployment. I was actually out there on a short tour for 1 year. Served 2 years at the Pentagon. Got myself promoted. They paroled me. I got out of the Pentagon. And now, like I mentioned, I'm at the Air Reserve Personnel Center where I'm currently the vice commander. It's me in Afghanistan. So that's a HH-60 Pavlo helicopter. So that's used. So it's got significant firepower here, but that helicopter is used for combat search and rescue. So when we have a down pilot, down airman, we go in and take them out. So we'll go into a hot landing zone and extract them, get them to safety. Oops. Back here. Can't see this very well. I'm actually in Qatar re-enlisting one of my airmen who worked for me when I was a squadron commander in England. So it was great to see her when I was in Qatar. So that was really a highlight of my career there. And then, of course, there's me as a squadron commander having a little bit of fun right around Valentine's Day. That's my Combat Cupid get-up. I mean, you got to have a little bit of fun. So it kind of shows you the difference, stark contrast between me carrying heavy weapons and me carrying a lot of candy with wings on. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. And of course, I'm a 3rd-generation public servant. My grandfather served during World War II. He was in the Social Security Administration when he worked for the federal government. My dad was a school teacher. Of course, I'm in the military and have been since I graduated from school. A little bit of family. So here's me and my sons up here in the upper left. So that's Fort Moultrie, just outside Charleston, South Carolina. So beautiful day in August. I went to see them before school started. So they're in their 2nd year of college at Trident Tech in Charleston, South Carolina. So great to see them. Down here, can't really see my mom, but Paul and Carolyn, my folks. This was over July. I went home to Michigan to see them. Here's the 2 of them back here many years ago. That's me and my sister in a wagon. So a lot of fun, great memories of family. So my sister and her family right here along the Appalachian Trail by their house in Tennessee. My extended family, so again, photo in Michigan. My family includes my cousins, came up for a visit, my aunt, my mom and dad, my sister and her family. And then right in the center, this is a great photo and one of my favorites. This is my commissioning photo. So that there's at Michigan State University. I just received my degree. I was being commissioned as 2nd lieutenant. My grandfather is a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Air Force, or previously was. He's passed away now, but he commissioned me because you need a commissioned officer to commission another commissioned officer. And so he came to my commissioning ceremony and commissioned me as 2nd lieutenant, which was pretty awesome. What else? Okay, so kind of up here, upper left, I like to exercise and run and do those kinds of things. I did 2 marathons. So in 2014 was my very first marathon. Was grueling. I had a lot of knee pain going on, but I made it through. So yeah, despite the well, you can't really see my face and the smile that I have there. I was in excruciating pain. I did it a year later to prove that the first year wasn't a fluke. And then last May I did the Spartan race down at Fort Carson, played in the mud and did all that kind of fun stuff. Like to ski and be outdoors, obviously, being from Michigan. Like this kind of activity. It's me doing the hike up Pikes Peak this last July. I will tell you, for somebody who's in fairly good shape but never trained for it, that was a pretty grueling test. And so I put it up there with the 2 marathons. I really do. So, yeah. Yeah, well, I tell you what, despite the smile on my face on that one, I was ready to puke. So I got out to the national parks up in Wyoming. So did the Grand Tetons and did Yellowstone. So that was a lot of fun. Lower left. Again, I'm a huge baseball fan. I grew up as a Detroit Tigers fan. Still am a Detroit Tigers fan, but coming out here, I'll tell you what, I've really grown to love the Rockies. So I'm glad that they had such a great season, and I look forward to next spring and watching them play some more. And then just as a little bit of a hobby, I turn pens on a lathe, which is a lot of fun. So it's a really great opportunity to work with my hands and make something with your bare hands and do something kind of cool and genuine and something you can put your heart into. So it's really, really kind of neat. So anyway, that's it. I tried to get as much out there as I could in a little amount of time. So questions?
Why does the military, thank you, why does the military feel it's necessary to move you around so much?
Well, so that's a philosophical thing. So it depends on who you are and where you are in your career. Sometimes it's not necessary to move folks around, and we don't always, and we do try to keep folks in place. Stability is important. In families important, and you uproot families and the like. So we do ask folks to stay. The important thing, though, is you have to think about development of that person. What's the next job? Is that next job available at the current location? And so for like in my instance, there aren't a ton of jobs that I can have at a single location. So they have to move me. And while they're moving me, they're also thinking about development. What's the right next job for me? What's the next education that I need? So I may need professional military education that they may be forced to move me so I can get that education. And like I mentioned, jobs. Now, I was a squadron commander. There's only one squadron commander in my particular career field at every base. So in order for me to get that particular job that they've selected me for, they have to move me. So it's a chicken or egg. What comes first? What's necessary? We're always looking at keeping costs down, though. PCSing and moving people is extremely expensive, and it's extremely expensive to the taxpayer. So we have to be very smart about how much we move folks.
How long are you going to stay in?
Okay, so I'm at retirement age. I've been in for 23 years. Like I said, 20, most people know, is retirement eligible. So for me, it all depends. So I may move one more time, unfortunately, as much as I like everything that is here for me. I may move one more time, kind of trying to get back east, Charleston area potentially. Most of my family is all out east. My mom and dad are in Tennessee. So I'm trying to get myself that way. The military tends to move me the opposite direction the family is, but I probably will do one more tour, so probably 3 to 4 more years, I'm hoping. Yep.
You know, I just want to personally thank you for your service.
Well, I tell you what, it's awesome to thank you very much, and I appreciate the support. It's great to have folks that are so supportive of our military, and it's great, and it feels really good to have folks pull me aside and say thank you. I try not to wear my uniform everywhere I go. That's not who I am, but when I do, and folks grab me and thank me, it's very much appreciative, and I always thank them in return for supporting our military. It's not about what we're doing operationally around the world. It's about the people who make up the military and what they do and the sacrifices that they have to give, and their families as well. So really, it's nice to have the support of the local community as well. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Roxy, you're up.
Yes, I am.
in mind, my PowerPoint is not as fancy as his PowerPoint. And I have Kleenex. My nose starts to run when I speak in front of people, so bear with me. Let's hope it doesn't happen today. Okay, slide number 1. Where's my, do I have a thing? Okay. Oh gosh, I already don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to practice. How do I do the pointer? Okay, the other way. Okay. 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 I think I know what I'm doing. I think I know. Yes. Okay. Okay. I have been educated. I now know what I'm doing. Okay. I thought he was going to move my slides for me, and I. Okay. All right. So, gosh, now I'm off to. Now I'm really nervous. I'm off to a really bad start. Okay. Okay. I was born in Natrona County Hospital in Casper, Wyoming, and. But my family lived in a little town called Midwest, which is northwest of Casper. And if you've ever gone from Casper to Buffalo, there is a little exit there that says Midwest. And in my day, the highway went through Midwest. So it went by the oh, wait a minute, get back. Uh-oh, it went way forward. Okay. Right up there is the Teapot Dome Rock. And so Midwest is right there in the middle of the Navy Oil Reserve, which is the biggest oil reserve in the United States. So everyone in Midwest works for Standard Oil. When I grew up, my dad worked for Standard Oil. And you see here that, see how old I am, there were actually wooden derricks when I was a kid. In those days, when they drilled a well, the oil came up, went all over it before they capped the well. So all over Midwest are these huge circles of greasy, horrible brown dirt. So there are little islands of grass. So, and the whole town smells like oil. So I grew up with this oil smell. And the other item of interest in Midwest over here is the theater. And my dad worked for Standard Oil. He was a blacksmith for Standard Oil. And he was the manager of the theater. And my mom was the concession manager. And so as a child, I spent every night in the theater. And I watched movies through the projectionist booth. So I saw, at its time, a racy movie like Peyton Place. There was no rating of movies. So at 5 years old, I saw Peyton Place. I saw all kinds of movies that for their day were racy. And the scariest movie I saw was Wizard of Oz. It still scares me. Okay. There we go. Then my dad, who had gone to college before, he had a scholarship, he decided he saved enough money to go back to school with a family when he was 30 years old. So he went to the University of Wyoming. So we were cowboys and fans of Cowboy Joe. That's their symbol at the University of Wyoming. And he got his degree in pharmacy. And then we moved to Fort Collins. Thank God. And this is my favorite picture from my childhood. I grew up on a small horse farm. And this particular picture was this little Arabian colt is Hightar. And this is right after he was born. And that was just a real highlight for me, watching this colt be born. And when they're born, they're like fearless, and they come right up to you. And within a day, they're running away. They won't let you near them. And also, if you notice, this is a kind of a foreshadowing of me. Right here, in this corral, I have on flip-flops. So I was not a cowboy boot person, obviously. And I, to this day, unless there's snow on the ground and it's really cold, I have on sandals. Then my dad, when we moved, he bought a drugstore in Fort Collins. And this is a drugstore at the corner of College and Mountain called Hutchison Rexall Pharmacy in Fort Collins. And he owned 2 other pharmacies. So I grew up, one of the things I hadn't mentioned about the previous picture is I grew up, my first job, this is a vocational talk, you know. My first job was feeding animals, feeding horses and cattle morning and night. And in those days, bales of hay were fairly small. And you would grab the wire or the string and you pop them open to get the piece of hay. Well, if it didn't pop, you had to have wire clippers. So my sister and I had wire clippers hidden up in this rafter so nobody would steal them.
So we'd go down in the morning to feed the cattle, and the wire clippers had been stolen. So you'd see us crying in the morning, knowing we were going to be late for school because we had to go find wire clippers or find somebody to get the bale of hay open because we couldn't go to school without feeding the animals. My next job, of course, I graduated to lawn mowing. Then I graduated to working in the Rexall. And working for my dad's drugstores, I got a lot of experiences. I ran a cash register. I stocked merchandise. I dusted. I worked in the pharmacy. I was a pharmacy assistant. And I did accounts payable. And, of course, the highlight was I was the manager of the garden center one summer. So I'd get there really early so that I could look at the labels on things. So when people came and asked me, what should they do to feed their roses? I would go, oh, right over here to the rose food. And I, of course, knew nothing about gardening at all. So that was pretty fun, but I got to be outdoors. I went to Fort Collins High School. And up here, these windows are the library. And they're these gorgeous windows with fan lights at the top. And in high school, my favorite class was study hall. I have my best friends. We all, you got your choice to be in this giant auditorium, or you could go to the library. We hung out in the library and had a really great time, and we were only kicked out once. Then I went from, I was a townie. I went to Colorado State University and got my degree in accounting. And then in the middle of college, I lived for a year in Germany, in Bavaria. This is just a beautiful picture of Bavaria. So I have a real soft spot in my heart for Germany. Love the beauty of it. One of the things I couldn't find is the Christmas in the United States is really modeled after German Christmas. And it is the most beautiful, magical time you can ever be in. So if you ever have a chance to go to Germany at Christmas time, it is beautiful. Maybe? Okay. Then I moved on and became a bank auditor. So I was a bank auditor for about 15 years. And one of the most interesting places I worked was the First National Bank of Denver, which is, I believe, now Wells Fargo. It's on 17th and California Street. And before it was the First National Bank of Denver, it was the Gruber Mint. And that was about in 1860. And it's one of the only businesses in the United States that simultaneously was a commercial bank and a mint. And one of the fun things I got to do was, as an auditor for the First National Bank, I got to audit all the coin collection from the Gruber Mint. So that's one of my audit highlights of my life. Then I went to work. I had a brief stint as a public accountant and did taxes and was a part-time CFO for several companies. But now I work for the Denver Jazz. No. I work for Centennial Airport.
Does Robert know that?
No. What made me think of the Denver Jazz Center is most of you are familiar with the Perfect Landing restaurant at that airport. This other picture is of snow removal. Now, you may wonder why it's so dark, but that's because most snow removal occurs in the dark about 3 a.m. They get called out. That's about the time that the snow gets to the right consistency, et cetera, to plow. And snow plowing is a real science. If you plow too soon, you create ice. And you have to know how deep the snow should be to plow. You have to know whether you should put down de-icing fluid or you should plow. And so this is a typical picture of late at night plowing snow. This other picture over here is of Red 1. And this is what's called an ARF vehicle. It's an airfield firefighting and rescue piece of equipment. And if you'll recall, last year there was a big fire in I-25 where there was a fuel truck caught on fire. And the conventional fire equipment could not get this fire out. And the airport, part of its agreement with South Metro is we provide them with their fire equipment and training for the kind of equipment that they can use on the airport. So they called out Red 1, and we were all in our conference room watching the TV. We were so excited to watch our piece of equipment put out the fire on I-25 because it used the same kind of chemicals to put out the fire that they use for putting out fires in airplanes. So
we were popular for a few days. And here's some interesting information about the airport. I'll let you read most of it. Probably some of the more interesting information at the top talks about some of the economical impact of the airport. This information is put together by the Division of Aeronautics on a periodic basis. We have about 340,000 operations a year. An operation is a takeoff and a landing. We are open 24/7 and have on-demand U.S. Customs service. And we are what is considered a secure nonstop gateway to Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. Because not, even to this day, after 9/11, not every private plane can fly into Reagan National Airport because of its proximity to D.C. and the White House. We have, as you saw in that picture, the snowplow. We have won the Balkan Post Award 14 times. And the Balkan Post Award is an award that is given to North American airports for their excellence in snow removal. And you have to be nominated actually by your customers on the airport to get this award. And we've outright won the award 11 times. We've had 3 honorable mentions, and that's more than, way more than anyone in North America has won that award. We're really proud of that. We also have 4 award-winning FBOs, and most general aviation airports, to back up a little, we are a general aviation airport. We do not have commercial passenger service. So as a general aviation airport, most airports that are general aviation are fairly small and usually have 1 FBO. And we have 4, so that's pretty amazing. We have Truman Arnold Company, Denver Jet Center, Signature Flight Support, and XJet. And we do not, we are self-supporting, so we do not use any tax dollars from your community. After I joined Centennial Airport, shortly after that, Peter Blonsky approached me and asked me would I be a charter member of a Rotary Club. And I said yes, that would really be great. And through Rotary, I get to come here every Tuesday morning and get energized for the week. I have to admit, the first 6 months I came for breakfast. I was terrified that I would get picked on and teased in Happy Bucks. And it was just torture for me to be teased. I now have learned to be a teaser. So it was a great education for me. And coming out of my shell and being a little more extroverted. So you guys do a lot for me every week. I come here and have energetic people. I hear stories about things that really matter in the world more than my trivial little problems. And Rotary has afforded me a lot of opportunities. Probably my greatest one was I went with a Rotary group to India to visit the water project that we supported for many years. And so this is really awesome. This woman is, her name is Vanita Diva. And for this project, they had to have a memorandum of understanding with the community before they would start the project. And they couldn't get them to sign the agreement. Keep in mind, men in the once they have gone through their season of planting and harvesting, these people are rural people, and the government of India at that time will just give them money. So they gamble with the money, they drink with the money, and the women in the village don't get much of the money. So this woman stood up and says, if these men won't stand up and sign the MOU, the women will. So she was a real driver in getting this this project going, and they're right at one of the wells that we helped. And we did wells, dams, and it's a whole other presentation of this project and how sustainable it's been. I also got to go last year, as you know, to go to a Rotary International Conference. I went with Barbara. And we also went early to the Youth Exchange Conference. And it was great to see all the different initiatives that Rotary International has and see all the people from all over the world. It was pretty amazing. And last but not least, you've heard the story of my father and how my father was a Rotarian. My father was a cowboy, a pharmacist, and a Rotarian. And he went to Rotary on Wednesdays at noon. And so Wednesday night, we got to hear what happened in Rotary that day, who the speaker was, about youth exchange students. And so I grew up wanting to be a Rotarian.
So when I graduated from college, I'm thinking, okay, I now have a vocation. But unfortunately at the time, Rotary didn't accept women. Now, my father was really great. He goes, I'll propose you anyway, just to cause a stir at my club. And about that time, I got a job in Denver, and I said, let's not cause a stir when I'm not even here to be stirred up about. So years later, when Pete approached me, I actually said, well, you know, Rotary doesn't accept women. And he goes, well, actually, they do. So I'm really grateful for Pete introducing me to this club. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, we've got one more job for you as the last speaker. Don't look.
Okay, the last numbers are 512.
Oh.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Who got it? Wexler. Jeez. He's paying somebody off. Hold it high. Hold it high. Make him reach. 2. Hold it up high. And then he gets the $10. The instant lunch money. Right, great. Good job. Thanks, you guys, for. Oh, why don't you tell people about the stickers, Tim?
Okay, just real quick. A couple weeks ago, I brought stickers. I brought some Centennial Rotary stickers. They were not safe to put on your paint. There's stickers out on the table right now. If you want to put a sticker on your car, you can.
Great, thank you. Okay, could you all stand up and join me in the 4-way test? For all we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?